everyone, welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he's a director, and he has a movie that's right now it's in post-production, and it's called It Came Out of the Sky. I have with us today Justin Romine. Justin, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thanks for having me, Travis.
It's a pleasure to have you on, my friend. So tell us a little bit about It Came Out of the Sky.
So I'll kind of give you the origin story. Around the time COVID hit, I was trying to come up with ideas to write a script that I wanted to shoot here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I came up with an idea for a horror movie, actually, that was going to be about an Uber driver that was a serial killer.
Ooh,
and I kept kind of rolling around in my head for most of the pandemic. I never ended up writing it. And then come last year, about June or July, I had another idea for a sci-fi UFO alien movie. And what I ended up doing is I kind of put the two together and made it one thing that ended up being It Came Out of the Sky.
Now, how long did it take from the beginning concept to right now getting to post-production?
So about July, maybe late June, I started outlining the idea, and then I started writing, I think, July. The whole writing process took just a couple weeks. It is a short film, but writing is usually pretty labor intensive for me. So it took me a couple weeks and about 4 different rewrites till I was happy with it. Then I decided to start raising the money to get it made. I had written one of the characters for a friend of mine that is based out of Illinois. So I needed to raise money to get him out here and put him up in a hotel. And so we raised a little less than I wanted, but I pumped some of my own money into it, and we ended up being able to make the movie. Production started in October. We shot over 3 days, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think it was the 27th, 28th, and 29th of October. And we were able to get pretty much everything done then. And then we had 1 day of second unit stuff that we shot, just like some local Albuquerque things like the Route 66 sign and stuff like that. So then we were done with that. It went into editing. I ended up having to fire my editor. That's a long story, but he wasn't doing what we wanted, and we were concerned about audio, and he thought it was a personal attack against him, and so he blocked me and all kinds of stuff. So he still has all my footage too. Luckily we had it backed up. I ended up using another editor that I've known from. I'm originally from Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago, and I met this other editor at a film festival in Chicago, and I've always wanted to work with him, so we got in contact with him. He was kind of busy, but I talked him into doing it. He charged us a pretty good price. After I lost a little bit of money with the other editor, I'm actually very glad I went with the second editor. He did a great job. So that finished up editing about probably last month, and now it's just kind of going through all of the other post-production things. We had special effects done. The movie's been scored by a musician out of Chicago that I also know from previous projects. His name is D.C. McAuliffe. he's really amazing. I'm glad he's got on board. And then I guess that takes us to post production audio, and that's where it's at right now. That's the last thing to be done, except I have to put together the credits.
Now, you decided to make this this is the first of a 3-part trilogy. Now, was
Right.
that always your original idea?
No, I just wanted to make a movie and get to hang out with my friend from Illinois and have some fun. But in writing it, when I got to the end, I kind of left it open for the audience to be like, "Wow, I want to see what happens next." So now I'm going to be writing the second and third part pretty soon.
Now, is it tough? Because I ask a lot of filmmakers this when it comes to making short films. Is it tough to get that character development, that story, all that compacted into a short time frame?
Not really. If you know how to tell a story, your characters are kind of come with it. Um, you get your character development through dialogue and stuff like that. That's the quickest way to get your characters developed is through dialogue and what they say and some of their actions. Um, to me, the hardest part was putting the end at the end of it. I wanted to keep writing and keep writing, but um, it got to a point where I was either going to develop it into uh, like a web series, like a series of 10-minute episodes that would culminate into what would equal a feature. And then I decided I could tell the whole story in probably another 20 pages. So the first part was 10 pages, second part will be probably about that, and the third part will probably be about that.
That did you decide to? Because I'm assuming if I was going to do a trilogy of short films, I would want to leave each one at kind of like a cliffhanger. Is that something that you decided to do?
Yeah, the first one definitely ends in kind of a cliffhanger. I could actually send you the script if you want to read it. It's pretty cool.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I left it at a cliffhanger, and because I liked the characters and I liked the story, so I wanted to continue with that.
Now, I'm pretty sure because I see in the background you got the Candyman poster from, of course, that's a horror movie that takes place in Chicago. Have you always been a horror fan?
Yeah. So a little bit about my origin story. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, I got my hands on a copy of Nightmare on Elm Street and watched it without telling my parents, and I fell in love with the movie. I was so interested. I was definitely scared by it. Just that opening scene where he's making the glove still scares me. But as a kid, that just frightened me. But I got to watching the movie, and the scene where he's climbing on the walls and the ceiling. I was like, how in the hell did they do that? I even went to my mom and said, how did they do this? And I didn't realize that they built a rotating room for it. My mom had no clue. I got grounded, I think, probably for watching the movie. Um, but I fell in love with that movie. It's still my all-time favorite horror movie. So I fell in love with the genre then and there. Watched all the sequels because by the time I saw it, I think 4 or 5 of them had been made already, or at least 3 of them. I eventually got to see Dream Warriors, which is my favorite of the series.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I watched Candyman when I was pretty young when that came out. I got to watch that. My parents let me watch whatever I wanted, pretty much. It didn't, really scare me or anything too much, but interesting story. I actually got to work with Tony on a movie,
Nice.
and we became buddies. I have his phone number. I talk to him now and again. He's a really cool dude.
I've had the pleasure to meet him at Monster Mania a couple years back. My buddy Steve and I, Richie, man, I got a picture of him. Such a nice guy. He's a Yankee fan, just like I am. And it was the playoffs, and we were both following the playoff game. But like, nice guy. I mean, he is one of the icons in the horror genre. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I had him sign my copy of Night of the Living Dead. And he's like, most people bring me Candyman. And I said, well, I like you in this more than I like you in Candyman. I thought he was great in that.
He's great in that. I mean, he's excellent. And he's also excellent in the Final Destination films.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's such a great guy.
Now, Candyman, so I started watching horror movies at 5. So my mom was a big horror fan. So, I really got into the Texas Chainsaw Massacres and Nightmare on the Street and Halloween's. But Candyman was the first horror movie that fucking scared me. Like, it's like the first horror movie that I couldn't sleep. And I say it a lot. The scene where he cuts the little boy's fucking junk off in the bathroom had me terrified to use the bathroom by myself for the longest fucking time.
Or to look in the mirror.
Yes, I mean, that movie terrified me.
I was reading a couple days ago that when he had all the bees in his mouth, they made him a deal to where they would give him $5,000, or I think it was $5,000 for each bee sting he ended up with. And he ended up with like 10 or something like that. So he got a bunch of extra money for doing that scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, okay. I mean, listen, round of applause. I thought he was great already, but to go that fucking far is amazing.
I know.
Now, what did you think of the 2022 Candyman?
I actually got it from the library a week ago. It's sitting over here on my list to watch. I haven't got to watch it yet, so I don't have an opinion. It was streaming for a while, and then it kind of disappeared, and I'm like, oh, man, I should have watched it when I had a chance, but then I ran into it at the library, so I might watch that tonight.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of, I should say pleasure, but I saw that during COVID, and I was so excited when I saw the movie and everything, but I'm not going to give anything away, but it wasn't one of my favorite horror movies. It was definitely a letdown for me.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, but I'm just going to go in with it and try and have some fun.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to horror films, you've been a horror fan for a long time, so I'm going to ask you your opinion or something. Do you think right now, when it comes to big mainstream Hollywood, do you think when it comes to horror, do you think they have hit a roadblock?
Yeah, between remaking everything and a lot of the stories aren't really that good. I'm just starting to get bored because I think it's oversaturated at the moment. I mean, if you look at like the A24 studios, they do tons of horror movies and stuff like that, and then with the remakes and David Gordon Green doing the Halloween movies, and I really like Danny McBride and David Gordon Green. I like them a lot, but I think leave the classics alone and come up with your own ideas. I did actually kind of like the Halloweens. I particularly liked Halloween Ends. I thought that was pretty fun. But
really? Okay.
Yeah, I had fun with it. And that's, how I kind of go into it now when I have to watch a remake or something like that. Because it already was remade, with the Rob Zombie stuff. And I didn't mind the first one that Rob Zombie did. I like that he kind of went with a psychological angle. But the second one I hated, particularly because that whole movie's about his wife, and I can't stand his wife.
Why does he? Okay, I'm gonna change the subject, but I'm jumping the subject. Listen, I get a husband is gonna put his wife, if she's an actress, into all of his movies, but she cannot act.
Not really.
She cannot act at all. I mean, she can't even. There's indie horror actors that blow her out of water. And every time I see her character in a movie, it just makes me go, ugh. And this is what this is one of the reasons I'm not a big fan, big fan of the Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah, I don't really like her much at all. In fact, right around, I think it was around Halloween, um, they released in the theaters The Devil's Rejects, or what was the first one?
House of a Thousand
House of a
Corpses.
Thousand Corpses. They released that in the theaters, and me and my buddy went because we had seen it in the theater when it first came out. So we decided to go see it because I actually like that movie, but I really can't stand her. My buddy's in love with her. So
Really?
we were butting heads the whole time. I'm just like, yeah, she's cute, but once she opens her mouth, it's over for
Yeah.
me. But that movie is a whole lot of fun, and it was cool because that movie was really hard for Rob Zombie to get released. It ended up getting picked up by Lionsgate. Before that, it went through. Oh, I can't remember what studio it was, but they ended up passing on it. Um, Rob Zombie did like a 5-minute intro for the re-release that we saw last year. He kind of talked about what happened and stuff like that, but there's no director's cut because I guess all the footage was ruined, so they don't have any of the footage still.
I see when it comes to Rob Zombie. Listen, I like Rob Zombie, so I'm a Howard Stern fan, and Rob Zombie's good friends with Howard Stern. So I love Howard Stern. So I like Rob Zombie for who he is. I like who he is for a musician. I also respect him for getting into the horror industry and making
Yeah.
horror films. I respect that, but I'm just not a huge Rob Zombie horror movie fan. I like Devil's Rejects. I agree with you. I like the first Halloween movie, the first half of it, because it was something new. It was psychological.
Yeah,
It was something completely different that we never saw before. But then the second half, it just felt like it was the original Halloween sped up,
hmm
and I just didn't like the second half. I did like the second Halloween. I thought that was something different, and that Michael Myers, played by Tyler Mane, was relentless. I mean, he was a brutal fucking Michael Myers.
yeah.
But everything besides that, I've never been a big Rob Zombie fan.
Yeah, I mean, I like his movies in passing. I'm not going to sit there and put it on any of my lists of favorite horror movies, but he's, fairly entertaining, when he wants to be. And it's interesting. He's always done the music, but he kind of got his start in film, cinema, and TV on Pee Wee's Playhouse. He worked on
Really?
that. Yeah, he worked on Pee Wee's Playhouse. I think he was an art designer or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always found that interesting because I grew up watching that show, and that definitely has some interesting elements of horror in it.
It really does. I was a big Pee Wee fan too. I love
too.
Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and
Yeah.
then it was like I want to say it was probably about 10 years ago. I was in Denver, Colorado, and they released the sequel to Big Adventure in the theaters, and I remember
Yeah.
seeing that. Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but I'm a big Pee Wee fan.
Pee Wee
And
Top.
huh?
I think it was called Pee Wee's Big Top.
Yes, that's what it was called. And I just felt like Pee Wee did not get a fucking fair shake. I mean, at the end of the day, he was jerking off in a movie theater, in a porn movie theater.
Porno theater, yeah. Let
where
the guy
everybody else
be.
was fucking jerking off. Like, come on now. I feel like if that would have happened today in 2024, everybody would be like, oh well. I mean, but there's people who have done worse shit that
Yeah.
have not got fucking canceled the way he did.
I remember I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, and he's in that. Paul Rubens is in that, and he loses his arm at one point. And in the theater, I remember I said, "Oh, he can't jerk off anymore," and the theater just started laughing. But he was a good actor outside of the Pee Wee stuff too. I really liked him. I miss him. I wish he was in more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. Now, for the kids, back then, yes, porn. Listen, porn was not free on your self smartphone. You could not just watch porn free. You either had to go to, you had to either look like a pervert going into the video store and getting it,
Behind
or
the
you had
curtain.
to go, yeah, so you had the curtain and looking like a straight pervert, or you had to go to a movie theater to see it. So those are the only two ways you could see porn back in the day. So you guys are fucking lucky that you can just watch porn, any kind of porn right now for free on your
anywhere. Yeah, anywhere in your car. Yeah, yeah. They don't realize how they got it made.
Exactly. I mean, you look like a. I said, the first time I got my video card when I was 18, the first thing I did was go behind that fucking curtain because I saw that curtain my whole entire life growing up. I was like, what the fuck is back there? I know what's back there, but what does it look like? And like going back there for the first time, I felt like the biggest fucking pervert.
Yeah, we used to go up to. There's a place right off of the highway in Wisconsin. Like you had, for some reason in Illinois, they had some law where they couldn't sell porn.
Really?
They couldn't have like a store to sell it or something like that. So we actually had to drive up to Wisconsin. It was about a 40-minute drive to this place called Naughty But Nice. And it was all porn right off of the highway. Toys, clothes, leather, bondage, all that stuff. But it also had one of the little they call it the arcade. You go in, put your quarters in, and watch a little bit.
Yes,
it was for all the truckers that were on I-90 going from Illinois to Wisconsin or Wisconsin to Illinois, and so there was always trucks parked in the parking lot and stuff like that. And I always felt like a giant pervert walking in there, but then you look around and see all these other guys, and I'm like, they don't give a shit. Yeah, they'll check my ID, and that's about it.
And the fucked up thing about it was too, they always put a porn store on a major highway. So so there'll be so many or like a major road. So like there was no way you walk into a porn shop, you have to walk in with like disguise because somebody from your church, work, or whatever could definitely see you. Cars whizzing by. You would think a porn store would be like in the middle of nowhere on a cut. No. They put one on a main fucking road.
Yeah.
So that everybody can fucking see you. Like it took commitment to if you wanted to watch porn in the early 2000s, the 90s, 80s, you had to listen. It was commitment. You were going to. You just didn't have to give a fuck. So all right, so jump back to Rob Zombie movies. What would you say are your top 3 favorite Rob Zombie movies?
House of a Thousand Corpses, The First Halloween, and The Devil's Rejects.
Okay. A lot of people say that movie 31, which I never finished. No, was it 30? Yeah, 31, and I never finished it. I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't get around. I didn't get around to finishing that one either. Was that Sid Haig's last movie?
I think it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think he was really sick, and I think they tried to write a bunch of stuff for him to kind of push it through, and I think it suffered. I think it suffered because he was dying.
Yeah.
So I haven't got through that yet either.
It's hard to watch. I mean, it's just hard to. It's one of those movies that's hard to fucking watch.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. So, as you know, if you've seen my show, this is the fun part of the interview. I'm going to ask you 3 random fucking hard questions. You ready?
All right. Yep.
All right, man. The first one this is always a fun one. I love to hear what people think. What is one iconic horror series or horror series that you wish they would just bury and just be done with? No more. You're good.
Man, that's tough. I could go with Friday the 13th. I think they took that and just kept running with it and running with it and running with it. They haven't done anything since that remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, it started to get silly, Jason in space, all of that. So that was never my favorite of the horror movies. So, I mean, I like the first probably 3 or 4 of them. Particularly the first 2 were really good. because I watched them at a young age, so they definitely stayed with me. But yeah, I could do without that.
I agree with you on that one. Because I mean, there's been a lot of fan films made, Friday the 13th fan films made in the last several years. But like, what can you do new with Jason? That's the biggest challenge. What can you do new with Jason at
Yeah,
this point?
I'm surprised they haven't done one recently. I'm wondering what's going on with the rights, because they keep remaking everything. So
I
what
know,
was
I
that
know they're
Dimension?
fighting in court. I know they're fighting. Is Sean Cunningham is fighting in court with someone. I forgot who it was. He's fighting. That's one of those films that's held up in court right now, just like
Mm,
Nightmare on Elm Street is held up in court. Um, Wes Craven's family is not giving anyone an okay to
yeah,
do anything with that project.
I did just see the other day that Heather Langenkamp mentioned that she is willing to come back for one more. And I
Well,
think
that'd be good.
if she wants to come back, then possibly Robert would come back.
But he
He
said
did
that he never.
he did reprise his role on the Goldbergs. I don't know if you ever watched that show, um, but he
I saw that
came
episode.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, he came on there in full makeup.
I'm just afraid because I mean, Freddy Krueger is my favorite horror character,
Mine
and
too.
I'm just terrified. I'm not terrified. I'm just worried that who can do it better than Robert Englund? You know,
Yeah, yeah. They tried with Jackie Earl Haley,
yeah,
and I didn't think he was terrible, but he's like 5'4", 5'6", or something like that. He wasn't very tall or imposing in like those wide shots, and so like I didn't hate the remake. It's okay. I'll watch it once in a while, but um, yeah, definitely it's got to be Robert.
yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense. All right. The second question is, hmm, okay, what? Okay, what is a horror movie that people say they love that you're like, eh, it's okay, but
Hmm.
I don't understand why people love it so much.
I'd say like those Insidious series. I'm not really huge on those.
Okay.
Yeah, I some of those just are kind of boring to me. I couldn't I didn't really get into them. I don't see the attraction. I guess I just grew up in a different era, you know. Um, yeah,
For me, is I've said all the time, it's the Terrifier series. I don't understand. Terrifier 2, I guess I get, but the first Terrifier movie, I don't understand why people love that movie so much. It's hard to watch. It's outside
I've
of
never
the gore
watched
and
them.
so forth.
I've never
Uh,
watched them. I've seen like bits and pieces of them, and it's just gore porn, So
it really is.
yeah,
It's
and
just not my cup of tea.
there's no story. There's an insane clown going
No
around killing
story.
people, and just as horrifying deaths as you could come up with. I mean, I can see people having fun with it, but um, I need a story. I need something that's going to draw me in, make me concerned about the characters, make me concerned about the story. You have to invest me. You can't just do a bunch of deaths.
And also, too, I need a fucking backstory about the killer. I can't just have a killer for two movies that I don't know nothing about why he's killing people. Like, that irks my fucking nerves. Like, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. And they said that, oh, we're going to tell you something more in part two. And I went to see part two was a decent movie. Part one is a piece of shit. But part two is a decent movie. They definitely had somewhat of a story, but at the same time, you don't know who Art the Clown is. You don't know why he's killing people, and I just think that is a cash grab series that I keep saying it's going to be Terrifier 6. It's going to be Terrifier 3. Oh, we're going to tell you more about Argus Clown in part 4, part 5, part 6. And it's just going to go on and on and on. And once you find out whatever it is about Argus Clown, it's not even going to be. You'll be like, well, that's a complete fucking letdown. I just watched 6 of these fucking movies, and the story is a piece of, I just feel like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah. No. So, but Insidious movies, I actually enjoyed the first 2. I stopped watching after the first 2, though.
Yeah, I kind of stopped watching too.
And the final question is, what's a bad horror movie that you love?
Oh man, I have to think about that. Because there's so many bad horror movies, but
yeah.
Which one do I love? I guess the sleepaway camps are really fun. I like those. I don't know if they're considered bad or not, but yeah. And then let's see. I don't know. I've seen so many bad movies. Yeah, I guess Sleepaway Camp was just kind of like we'll just kind of put this together and see what happens. So they did that, and then what's that movie they shot overseas? The director got arrested because they thought it was real. It was a mockumentary. The Green Inferno was based off of it. I can't remember the name.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes, Cannibal Holocaust. I really like that movie, actually. And I don't know if that's considered bad or not, but it was one of the first, found footage movies that kind of did that. And it was interesting how they did a lot of the special effects and stuff like that. So, yeah, I like Cannibal Holocaust, too.
Cannibal Holocaust is it's an underrated horror movie. It really is. It's an underrated horror movie. And yeah, Green Inferno is definitely has bits and pieces of that movie. But yeah. I'm shocked that more people do not put Cannibal Holocaust on their top 50 or top 100 horror movies of all time.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
I'm shocked that no one has. Well, I guess you could say Green Inferno is a remake of it, kind of. I'm so surprised no one has actually made a remake. Or tried to.
That would be hard to remake, I mean, they made it look real, and it was, like I said, one of the first found footage films that it's interesting. Yeah, the director got arrested and all that stuff, and so it's got it's kind of got this legacy behind it too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, Justin, where can everyone find you, my friend?
What's that?
Where can everyone find you?
I'm on Facebook mainly. Facebook.com/Justin Robert Romine. That should get you to my page. You can go. The film has its own Facebook page as well. You'd have to go and search for It Came Out of the Sky, and it'll come up. I don't know what the actual website is. I think it's just a bunch of random numbers. But you can find me there. I think I've got a visitor. Come here. Got my cat. This is Cruella.
What's up, Cruella?
Say hi.
Hello. Hi.
We got 4 cats. They're pretty fun. But
all
right. You're a cat guy. I like that.
Yes.
So yeah, find me on Facebook. We do have we're raising money for paying for post-production and for film festival submissions. So we have a Kickstarter up right now. You can search for it. Came out of the sky. I can give you a link to it. You can put when this goes
Yes.
live. I could get you a
Put it down in the
link.
description.
Yeah. That's only going to go for about 30 days. We've had another one. We didn't quite get as much as we wanted, so I started another one because on Saturday I'm speaking. I'm a guest speaker at it's called ABQ UFOs Meetup. They have weekly stuff about UFOs. They have guest speakers and they show films and stuff like that. So me and the cast and crew are going to go and kind of present the movie and stuff like that. So I wanted to put together a funding campaign for the local people. So when the movie is ready, they can come to a screening, a cast and crew meet and greet, like an after party. There will be an opportunity to get a digital version of the movie when it's done. So if you can't make it to Albuquerque, so you'll be able to watch it at home. And so, yeah, we're just trying to get a little bit more money because it gets expensive. I've paid for most of the post production out of pocket. So I only work part time, so it's been, I've been spread a little thin. So any help would be great.
Well, listen, everyone, get down to the description and click on that Kickstarter. As the Horror Room will be donating to the Kickstarter as well as we do with every indie filmmaker
Great.
comes on to our show. So we'll definitely be making a donation as well. And also, too, look out for It Came Out of the Sky. I'm pretty sure Justin will be giving me an update as well as look at the social media for the updates when we will see that bad boy out.
Yeah, find us on
screen.
Facebook and feel free to send me a message and ask me any questions you have about it. I'd be happy to. I'm always happy to talk about the movie. We had such a great experience making the movie. For once, in all the movies that I've shot, everything went very smoothly. So, pre-production went well. Production went really well. We didn't have any snags. I got everything I wanted. We shot it all in 3 days. And other than having to fire an editor, everything else has come together pretty well.
Nice. Well, Justin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my friend.
Happy to be here. I'll come back anytime you want me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As soon as It Came Out of the Sky comes out and I'm able to take a look, and I'd love to have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah, and then you can also post, I think I sent you a trailer. Yeah, you can post that as well.
Okay, I'll be in the description.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's definitely check it out.
Cool.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Justin Romine. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.